Hello everyone. In a previous video I uploaded, I talked about how to set up TASing for Breath of the Wild. But at that time I didn't really have a process for how to go about TASing as far as like some routines and patterns that I use. Because that time I really hadn't done a lot of TASing. At this point I'm nearly done with about 1/4 of all the shrines, passing each one of them. So today I wanted to go over my current process and walk through everything that I do step by step and hopefully make TASing a little more approachable, a little easier to understand what's going on. So the first thing that we're going to do, open our fork of Yuzu I showed in the last video I uploaded. Volume up to on background. And then we're also going to open Cheat Engine. This is an optional step, but I think it is handy to at least show how to do it and show why it can be helpful. I'm gonna go ahead and target this to go ahead, start up our file. I don't even know if this is picking up audio from the game. Oh yeah, it is. Okay. Might be a little bit loud, so I'm gonna turn that down. Blow up a bomb real quick to see how loud we are. That should be fine. Maybe a little bit lower. Okay. Um yeah, now we're in Yuzu. Now we have Cheat Engine open. So the first thing I'm gonna do, we need to find Link's coordinates. Unfortunately, even though this is like a year later after I recorded that first video, we still don't have a consistent pointer for where to find Link's coordinates. I tried doing things like array of byte scanning to just try to find a pattern of bytes that would lead back to this memory address consistently, but even that I have not managed to get something reliable. But at least we have the coordinates for his position here, and we can just use that to get his coordinates rather quickly. So in the description of my old video, I have these just in a notepad for quicker access, but if you need to access the coordinates for this position at a Great Plateau Tower, you can find it in the description of this video here. So we've connected to Yuzu. Oh, and by the way, let me see if I can remember where this is. There's a setting I did not show in my last video. If you're doing this for the first time in Yuzu, you need to enable... You need to scan mapped for where that is. Scan settings. Probably where... yeah, memory mapped. Memory that is mapped into the view of a section. Pretty sure this is the one that needs to be on. This was not on for me by default, but you'll need to have that on when you're doing a scan like this. So this is going to be Link's X coordinate. I'm going to plug it in here. Exact value, change this to float. And then we're going to do our first scan. About 1,000 results, not too bad. And we're going to do changed value or unchanged value. We're going to do unchanged value first. I'm going to tick the repeat box. Next scan. So number hasn't changed so far. Gonna do some stuff in the game, like move the camera around. You can see the results in the top left are lowering a little bit. Pull bow out, put it back in. Jump. Hold ZL. Not getting rid of a lot of results. Sometimes if you have a good amount, get rid of a good bit of results like this. Yeah, in this case, it's not. The only thing that I don't recommend you do, obviously, besides touching the left stick to pull out a bomb, because I've noticed that pulling out a bomb just slightly changes Link's position. So Don't do that, because that will mess this up. Now that we've done unchanged value, we're going to swap to change value. I'm going to move Link off this position. Next game. Yeah, I messed something up here. Let me just restart this. Oh, that's right. Okay, this is another thing. So I was on 4 byte. And I pasted this value in, and I swapped to float. And I forget that changes it to this number here. So make sure you don't do that. So now we can do this for first scan. Yeah, this is about more like what I expect. You usually get around 3,000 to 4,000 results. Let it finish scanning. Unchanged value. Next scan. Yeah, we're gonna hopefully get it down to 1,000. Doing some stuff here. You're not quite down to 1,000 yet. It seems like it's best to do this scan immediately. Like, as soon as you load in, you'll get less results. 2,000. Fine. It's still getting like a few down at a time, but I think we're good enough to stop it here. So I'm gonna untoggle repeat. We're gonna do change value. I'm gonna move link. Next scan. Now we have about 400. 400 is usually what I land on. Now, I'm gonna scroll about halfway down the list, and I'm gonna look for the last 4 digits to be PE20. I don't know if this is gonna be it, but I've noticed those last 4 are usually the same. I'm gonna change value of selected address. So this is what it is now. I'm gonna paste in the value that I had before. And yep, that's it. So, a bit faster at finding this than I used to be. Nice. I rename this to Havok X, and then there's a faster way I saw to do it. Try to remember how I did it. Because before I would address manually. Okay, so yeah, what you can do is copy and then paste, and then adjust pointer offset by 4. That is not how that works. Let me try that again. Paste address by 4. I think I did pointer. I think I did pointer offset. Yeah, that's what I did. That's what you can do. You can just copy this. You can just Control C, Control V, and then offset by 8. Now this is going to be our Havok Y, and this is going to be our Havok. Now, when I move around, see those values updating. And I did change a setting because I think by default they update by every 100 milliseconds. I don't remember exactly where this setting is. Take a quick. Yeah, update interval. I think this is 100 by default. I lowered it to 16, so it should be doing 2 updates per frame. So that helps give us a very nuanced look at like link. But yeah, so we're all set up here. I'm just gonna reload the save really quick. So we can get some of the time of day and good timer back. Even though it doesn't really matter that much. But yeah, our target shrine today is going to be Akh Vaquot, however you pronounce it. I don't have this shrine uncompleted on this file. Um, it shouldn't make too much of a difference with the way I'm wanting to do it anyway. We're gonna run into the shrine. I'll double check that I have Square Bomb equipped. I don't think I do right now. Yeah, so we're gonna equip Square Bomb. And because this is the first time I've done a Windbomb since loading Yuzu, for whatever reason, there's a lot of lag. So I'm going to just do one of these real quick. There actually wasn't a lot of lag that time, but yeah. So I'm just gonna... I guess I don't need to reload this. Now we're saved in the shrine. We have the square. We have the square bomb saved. Excuse me. Now we're going to get on to the second important part of this video, which is something that has improved my process of tasking by a lot. Made things a lot faster. I'm going to include this in the description. There is a Windbomb automator that I have now. So, unfortunately, currently with tasking, we don't have save states. We only have like scripting of inputs. But we can at least reload the shrine over and over and do different Windbomb inputs and see what they give us. So we do have the save state code as well. If you're familiar with that, it's just a way of like, so if I do D-pad left and plus here, it saves some stuff. Like you'll notice the speed food in the top right. I guess I don't have that enabled, but you can see it's doing something weird at least. You can see like the camera shifting. So what this would normally do on Switch, if the save state code were working properly, is that it would take Link back to the spot where I saved. But unfortunately, it doesn't work properly on Yuzu. Only some features like the camera shifting work. So unfortunately, we do have to reload the shrine every time that we want to test a wind bomb. But that isn't too bad because we can just automate the whole process. It just means that we can test less wind bombs same span of time. But I have found some weird nuance issue with using the save state code and then trying to do a wind bomb. It seems like it can give different results compared to reloading the shrine. So reloading the shrine at least seems like the more reliable way of testing it. But anyway, getting a little ahead of myself with the wind bomb scripting. First, what we need to do is we need to make a template file, which we're going to feed into. We're going to feed into this task generator. I'm gonna reload. And then I'm going to pause on the frame where you can first see the shrine. So I'm also going to open the task editor at this point. So this is the task editor. I'm going to put it on this side of the screen. I'll put Breath of the Wild on this side. So I'm going to clone all these lines. And I'm also going to, I guess it's just easier if I copy and paste. So this is the folder where I keep all of my task stuff. So the way that Yuzu interacts with the task editor is that it looks for a file with this specific name. So this was the previous file that I had loaded. I'm just gonna open this one. This is the previous file that I had loaded in here. I'm just gonna copy all of this and replace all of these lines in the default file that it puts in here for me. Then I'm gonna put, I don't know, I'll just do a whole bunch because there's no harm in doing it. Clear all of this. Center that centers all the inputs for the left stick. I'm gonna get rid of all these ZL inputs. Get rid of this jump input. And now, so this is what it looks like. There's 25 frames from this point before you can press X to skip the elevator cutscene. I hold ZL, and then this is the first frame, frame 65, where you can do an input. So I'm going to hold B, and we're going to run forward. Now, There's 29 frames between this and when you can first do a D-pad input. So I'm gonna go ahead and should just be able to do this math in my head. 93. Okay, yeah, I did have it right. Need to make this a little bit wider actually. So I can see which pad input I'm putting in. So you need to have at least this much space before the game will accept a D-pad input. So what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna hold up. I'm just gonna change all of these to up. These first inputs while you're holding ZL, I don't think they matter that much, but at least in this case, we're just gonna be running straight forward. Um, what this what this file I had previously was doing is that I was jumping onto a shrine peg to then Windbomb off of. But for this shrine, we're gonna get a little closer to the pedestal if we just run forward. So what I want to see is like, there's probably gonna be too many frames of running. I'm probably just not even gonna run from the start. We're gonna see how many frames of walking, how far that gets us in these 29 frames, and if I need to make him walk a little bit slower. So we're gonna go ahead. This is a handy thing I've done too. So the whole process for getting a script to run. Oh, and I think I showed this earlier, but this is what it looks like in my task folder. I just like keeping this one file in here so it's easy to find, and anything else I will sort into these other folders. But just gonna save over this now because I already saved this as a different name. So I can just get rid of that one. But yeah, the way that you get a script to run on this involves several hotkeys. So you have to first save this, then you have to go over to this window, go over to use hit Control F6 to reload the script, and then Control F5. So what I've done to make that process a lot simpler for myself is just I have one button on my mouse that is set to Control plus S, Alt Tab, and then Control F6 and Control F5. So it has made testing like way easier. Having to like reach over to my keyboard and do all those inputs every time. So I'm just going to press that now. And at this point, I'm going to just go frame by frame on the. I'm just going to go frame by frame on Yuzu. Because what we're going to look for now, since we're trying to make a template file, is we want to see how many frames pass of running forward. So yeah, you hit the home button on Yuzu to pause the game, and then it's spacebar to go frame by frame. We also had the D-pad input on here. I'm gonna look to see how long it takes before that shows up. Okay, this is probably doable with just walking. So I'm gonna open a different. Let's see. Any shrine where I've done a wind bomb. Trying to think of something where I've done a similar wind bomb at least. Nice wind noise with background. I'm yeah, I have a lot of testing files in these folders, but the one in particular I'm looking for, I started using a different naming completely, but this one I know I did a square first wind bomb on. I'm just gonna copy my wind bomb inputs here, and I'm just gonna paste them. I wanted to have the D-pad input line. I want to have the D-pad input line up, so let me see what I need to do. Okay, we go down like about 3 frames. Less frame. Okay. This should be fine. That to 90. And let's just play this from the beginning. We'll see how it runs. I can just something I will do rather than like hitting spacebar to get to this exact frame every time. Sometimes I will just like as soon as I see the loading stuff in the bottom right go away, I will just hit the hotkey and that will work fine. I could just be doing that here. So you don't have to be this precise with it. Oh yeah, that's pretty good. I think that can work out. Just trying to think if I want. No, that's probably fine. I'm trying to think if I want to get him a little earlier on the ledge because it looks like. Uh, let's see. I'll do this one more time. I want to turn the camera to the right and see like how far he is from the ledge. Yeah, so in this case, I just press the hotkey, which doesn't skip on the exact frame, but it's still. Yeah. I do want to have like a better look at like from the right, but I know if I turn the camera while he's walking forward, he's not going to be walking forward anymore. So I think this is fine. So at this point, I'm going to everything after the jump input, I'm going to delete from the task file. So we have, oh, and I need to put this in here too. We need to have the part of the script that will reload the shrine. So I have templates here. I have several here. I can include these in the description as well. Save state I've never used because save state code doesn't work, but I made this a while ago. Have one for running, walking. This one I probably need to put in the old folder because I don't even know what I used it for. But these are the main two that I use. Left peg stable and right peg stable. We're not wind bombing off a peg this time, but I will just open one of these. And these are the inputs that are going to reload the shrine. So I'm just going to copy all of this. And then I'm going to. So this, I copied everything before the input to skip the shrine or skip the elevator cutscene. I'm just going to replace all this empty space up here with that. Then this is good. I'm just going to test it a few times. Sometimes, depending on the shrine, you will want more or less of a buffer here. This is not going to skip on the same frame every time, which is a little annoying because I have found that sometimes, depending what frame you skip on, changes how Link ragdolls, which can be pretty annoying for testing some shrines, especially ones where you want to ragdoll cancel. Or ones where he will like bounce off the ceiling or something like that. But yeah, it's the best we have to work with now. I'm going to get rid of those R inputs I just put in accidentally. We're gonna run this a few times. So now when I press this, it should reload automatically, and then it's gonna do the walk forward and jump input that we just put in. Looking to see how late or how early it skips the elevator cutscene. I actually probably want him to hold ZL for a little bit long. From previous testing I did, maybe I'll just have him hold ZL this whole time. skip this one frame, because I think if you hold ZL just completely through, he won't start walking immediately. But we'll see how that looks. But yeah, you have to hold ZL at least 15 frames before he'll jump as you expect. If you do less than that, he kind of jumps with it to his side, and I don't know how that affects the Windbomb. So just to have something consistent. I'm gonna do this frame by frame as well. I can see how far he is from the ledge. That should be good. I could tell looking at it that time that he does get stopped by ledge protection, which I think should be good, which will make it'll make the wind bombs a little more reliable. Um, what else do I want to? It looks like it is skipping pretty early in the elevator cutscene. I'm gonna just test this a couple more times. It should be okay. It seems like it seems like it's skipping at a pretty ideal part. 'Cause some shrines you get like a pretty big range of like it can skip super early or super late. One it seems like it's reloading pretty and that's making it so I can skip pretty early in the elevator cutscene reliably. So worked for me 5 times. I'll do one more because why not? But as long as it's reliable, that is good enough for me. Okay, so we will do some editing of this in just a minute, but now I'm going to save this under a new name. So we're going to save this as Akh Vaquot template. And now we have that in our folder here. So now we're going to feed this into the Windbomb generator. So gonna just drag this over to here. This is a Python script, by the way, in the top left. Hit enter. It's going to ask how many frames of padding we want between attempts. I'm just going to do 150 for this. 151 is the default, so I think I could just hit enter here and just have it do 151, but I just always type 150. So that is what that's going to do is that after the wind bomb is input, there's going to be 150 frames, so 5 full seconds that you can see the wind bomb play out before it reloads the save and does the next one. So if it's a shorter shrine, I will sometimes do like 90. This one, the wind bombs, since they're square first, they're going to be kind of on the slower side. So I'm just going to do the full 150 so I can see the full arc of the wind bomb before it reloads. Ideally, in a shrine like this, I do have the option where I could do an Alfort wind bomb, which is where you do circle and then swear. Those ones, hold on, I've turboed a button. There we go. Those ones can send you super fast. I can attempt one here. Yeah, that was a decent example. Those ones can send you super fast, but the problem with that I've found generally it's going to be slower if you go really fast and then fall straight down. Because Link, when you open glider and start falling, his initial speed when falling is really slow. So generally, what is going to be faster is if you find something that does like a gentle arc right into pedestal and open glider right before you land. That's generally going to be faster than doing like a right angle where you just go straight really fast, open glider, and then fall down slow. So something to keep in mind. Gentle angle that sends you right where you want to go, generally faster than right angle. But yeah, back to the task generator. The first thing it's going to ask is how many frames of padding between attempts. We're going to do 150. Hit enter. Now it's going to ask you to select the Windbomb type. So we're doing square first. Right now we have the option of circle first, square first, and Alfort Windbombs as the third option, which I've just spelled out as circle first, square before bullet time, so it's super clear what it is. I did some testing of doing square first and then circle before bullet time, but I only found like one wind bomb in all the ones I tested where it actually gave a successful launch. So I may look into that later. There may be something I didn't consider that would make it work, but for now, we're just going to do square first. And now we have filtering options. So a couple weeks ago, I went through and I did all combinations of for all three of these wind bomb types. I went through and did all combinations of circle, square, and bullet time timing. Or I guess it's circle. Okay, so for circle first, I did all combinations of circle and bullet time. Square first, I did all combinations of square and bullet time. And then for Alfort wind bombs, I did circle, square, and bullet time. I didn't include any delay in like the detonation or the second bomb spawn for circle or square first. I didn't do any delay because that adds like way too many combinations to test. So this is all combinations. This filtering gets rid of any combinations where it would result in a failed launch if you did it from like a normal ledge. So let me just load the shrine. I can give an example of like what my testing conditions were. So the way I tested, most shrines are going to be wind bombing off a peg like this, which it's a sloped angle and it's going to be unreliable. So this filtering option won't get rid of wind bombs that could fail on a peg, just because like depending on what angle you face is going to change if the wind bomb is going to work or not, because it's going to change how the first bomb lands. So my testing was done just on a ledge like this, where I can reliably get the bomb to land in the same spot every time with the same timing. So the options that are filtered out here are, let's say, if I can execute it pretty well. Okay, this one is super high. I tried to spawn the circle and square bomb as quickly as I could. I tried to bullet time as quickly as I could. I don't know if this launch will work or not, but this is an example of one that would be filtered out because this one would always hit Link like on the top of his head. Like, I don't know if it actually will, but like I tried to filter out any options where this timing is always going to hit him like on the top of his head and like fail, or hit him in his feet and fail. Let me, yeah. Okay, so that wind bomb didn't work. That was a good example. So this is generally timings that are like super early or super late, where the wind bomb is just not going to contact Link in a way where it's going to work. I know that was pretty wordy, but I hope it made sense. But yeah, this is what the filtering options are. This filtering has saved me a lot of time in recent shrines I've been testing, because it just gets rid of like, especially later ones where it's like you have super late spawns for the circle bomb, and then you have super late super late like bullet time, and it's just never gonna result in a wind bomb, and like half the recording is just Link flopping over. So this does save a lot of time, even if it's a little confusing to understand. But going over the options here, number one, reject combinations that add delay to to known non-working combinations. For example, 1110-5 does not work, so 1110-6 will not be generated. So what this means is that if you're doing circle first or square first, if you get a combination where the program recognizes, oh, this wind bomb wouldn't work with no delay on the second bomb and no delay on the detonation. So delaying those timings may result in a working wind bomb, but rather than risk it and give you a bunch of results that don't work, it just skips all of those. So that is our first option. Second option is reject only exact non-working combinations. So in this file, I have combinations that I tested with instant timings, no delay, for detonation and second bomb spawning. I have timings in this file where if it reads that combination as not working, then it will just skip it. That's what this second option does. First option will skip those plus any delay that you have on the other timings. The second option only skips those exact combinations, which include the instant delay, or the instant no delay. And number 3 is allow all combinations. So this is one that's going to give me like my older scripts where like half the file is just failed wind bombs. So what we're going to do, I'm not going to do any delay. I usually try to avoid testing any delay if possible. We're going to put 1 for this. Yeah, for my initial test, I will try to avoid any delay because it just eats up frames. Like every frame you delay is just eating up time that you could be like running to the end of the shrine or something like that. And you usually have to delay a fair bit to get a noticeable result. So I try to avoid using timings with delay when I can. Even though it may result in a more optimal wind bomb, it feels like it just adds a lot to the testing, it adds a lot to the recording, and I feel like it's generally not worth it because it takes a lot to delay get anything that's substantially different than what you could get with instant timings. Not mean to type that. So now, this next question it's going to ask is, would you like to set limits on the number of frames that can pass between jumping and entering bullet? So as an example, I'm not going to get a wind bomb that can work, but if you jump from a ledge, and let's say you're doing, this really only applies to Alfort wind bombs, but let's say, oh, I happen to do that on the one frame where you don't get bullet time. There's exactly one frame when you jump off a ledge where if you press ZR, you don't go into bullet time. Okay, this one is probably going to work. Let me see if we can get a better example. My current limit, I have built-in limits for each wind bomb type. And okay, so let's say we're going to wind bomb like this. This wind bomb clearly does not work on a peg at the start of the shrine. Yet like you are like way farther down than you would normally be. So timings like that are still valid with this wind bomb generator. Because like, you know, there are going to be some shrines where you're going to want to run up to a ledge. You may not want to wind bomb like that far down, but you may want to do something like this. That is going to not work on a peg because at that point it would be so low that by the time you pressed ZR, you wouldn't go into bullet time anymore. When you jump off a peg, there are only 14 frames between your jump input and when you can press ZR. So I should probably add a note about this in the generator, but I should probably add a note about this in the generator, but the limit for Alfort wind bombs, I think I have it as 33. That is the lowest possible, or the largest possible distance I could get. I'm trying to figure out how to word this in a way that's not confusing. I feel like, especially the last section, I'm like, oh gosh, how do I make this sound not confusing? When you wind bomb off a peg, if you're doing circle or square first, the limit is 14 frames. For Alfort wind bombs, because you have to do a menuing in here, it is 19 frames. Because the minimum amount of time you can spend in the quick menu, at least the first time you press it, 5 frames. So if you're using this option, if you're trying to do an Alfort wind bomb off of a peg, put 19 here. If you're trying to do circle or square first, this option really doesn't matter because the latest timing you can do is actually the same as what you can do off a peg. So like, that's obviously not going to work, but it's 14 frames. 14 frames between jumping and going into bullet time. Yeah, if I can think of better descriptions for these, like I can put those as like a pinned message or the description, but I hope it at least makes some sense explaining it here. So anything later than 14 frames for a circle or square first wind bomb is not going to ever work because of how late. Like the square bomb is gonna hit his, so it's just not gonna work. For Alfort wind bombs, you can go way lower, so the limit is like 33. But if you're doing it off a peg, it's always 14. It's always 14, and if you're doing Alfort wind bomb, you have to account for the D-pad menu, so it's 19. Anyway, since that is not relevant to... Since the timing... The latest timing you can do for circle and square first are the same as the latest timing you can do for jumping on a peg. I'm not going to use this feature here, so I'm just going to put in. Minimum frames before the first bomb. So now we're getting into the real, like, you putting the parameters for what's going to be generated. This is going to be the real bulk of the file. So minimum frames for first bomb, we're going to put 1. Max frames for the first bomb, we can put anything greater than 14. Like I could just put 99 here or something, but it's going to limit it to 14 because it knows that anything greater, any combination of the first bomb and the second bomb, the first bomb and entering bullet time, anything that's greater than 14 is not going to work. So I'm just going to put 1 and 14 for both of these. I don't want to do any delay here. So, and these numbers, if I didn't explain it too clearly, this is how many frames after jumping. So for the first bomb, this is how many frames after jumping that it's gonna put the input to spawn the first bomb. Bullet time is how many frames after the first bomb that it's gonna go into bullet time, and so on and so forth. So you have a D-pad, you have D-pad menuing before you spawn the second bomb. So there has to be a buffer between you inputting ZR and you inputting the second bomb to spawn. So if you try to just put 1 here, it's going to give you a warning and say the value must at least be 10. So I don't want to put any delay. So minimum frames we're going to put as 10. Maximum frames we're going to put as 10. Minimum frames, you also obviously have a delay because you have to swap back to your first bomb to spawn it. So if you try to put in 1 here, it's going to say it must be at least 5. We're going to put 5 and 5. It's going to tell you how many task blocks it's going to generate, which is how many wind bombs it's going to do. when you run this script, it'll tell you how many invalid combinations it skipped, and it'll also tell you percentage. I ask you, do you want to proceed? Say yes. And then output file name, I'm just going to put Akh Vaquot 1. Okay, and now we can open this file. And I do have to do a little bit of cleanup on this file. Oh yeah, something else. This doesn't export as a text file. It just exports as a file. So let me just drag this into my task folder so I can show you. Go to my download. So this is what it looks like. You can just rename this as .txt. I normally just open it in Notepad++, then do save as, and then save. And now I can just get rid of the file that it exports. So now I can open Akh Vaquot 1. And we can see it's generated 29,000 lines. And it looks similar to the template file that we had. So we have all this to reload. We have the padding for while the game is reloading. We have all of this. Where link blocks forward, and then it gives us our first one. And then gives us 5 seconds of padding before it reloads and does the same thing again. Now, unfortunately, there is a bit of cleanup I have to do with this current iteration of the program, because it's not really a simple way to do this, because your start here is always going to be different. Like, for example, so this is the frame where you first get control of Link. This is the frame where you win. For this shrine, we're just walking forward, which would be great if we could do that in every shrine, but for most shrines, we're going to be wind bombing off a peg. So that is still generally the same inputs. Like, you do the same stick movement, you do the same jump input to stand on the peg. But there's usually a frame where you're going to want to move the camera a certain amount of frames or a certain distance and link up with where the monkey is. And that's something that is going to be, I mean, I guess the program could process that, but it's going to, basically what I'm trying to say is have to always have a 29 frame gap here. And so what I'm going to have to do is scroll through all of this and make sure that gap is, it doesn't have to be 29 frames exactly, but it has to be at least that. And an improvement I can make to the program is to always make sure that this gap is at least 29, and then add some buffer here if it doesn't have that. The only thing that throws off is, like, the longer you stand on a peg, the more it's going to, like, change your wind bomb because of, like, Link being subtly shifted because of ledge protection. So at this point, I'll probably just skip ahead in the recording, and I'm just going to go through here, all of these 62 wind bombs, and make sure that the distance between here and here is at least 29 for all of these. And if I can cut a little bit of this walking, I will, because he doesn't need to be walking forward for as many frames as I have. So, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and start that. Okay. So I didn't go through the entire file and do adjustments. I decided that since ledge protection is at play anyway, I can probably just trim this after I get my results. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to name this file.
as a... Just gonna rename this as script 0/1. And something I did want to show about at least these circle first or square first wind bombs is the timing. So this is going to be the minimum valid timing at the very start, and they're generally going to get longer as the script goes on. So this is first frame after jumping, it's going to input for square, then it's going to input ZR for bullet time 3 frames later, or 4 frames. That's because it's gotten rid of invalid combinations where if it did ZR here, here, or here, it just would not result in a working wind bomb. But you may notice there is a bit of a gap here. This is why 10 has to be the minimum. For whatever reason, if you press ZR, normally you could do something like this. What's done for Alfort wind bomb. You can just press ZR on the same frame as you input D-pad up, and that's what the script automatically does for you if you're doing Alfort wind bombs. But for some reason, when you're doing circle first, square first wind bombs like this, you have to give a couple frames of buffer before you can input the spawn of the second bomb. So bullet time, this is just a general thing for like if you're trying to do this manually. Bullet time, 2 frames, and then on the 3rd frame you can start doing your D-pad input. So the game is still running for these 2 frames, then it pauses on this frame. So it pauses on the frame where you swap to the other bomb, then you have 1, 2, 3, 4 frames where the game 5 frames total where the game is paused. And then on the next frame, you can spawn your second bomb. And then you have 1, 2, 3 frames total where the game is running. And then when it registers the D-pad input, it swaps the other bomb. Have 1, 2 frames where the game is paused. And then you detonate. This is something I figured out a little while ago where normally if you're just inputting D-pad, you will always have 1, 2, 4, 5 frames where the game is paused. But if you do D-pad inputs in close proximity, you can cut down on this to where it's only paused for 2 frames instead of 5. So that's an optimization that's used for every for all the wind bombs that this thing generates. I found a way to do it for both this type and for Alfort wind bomb. So I just thought I'd point that out, like an optimization that I found with doing wind bomb menuing cuts down on 3 frames for every wind bomb that it executes. So anyway, what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to move this over to my other monitor, the TAS input. I'm going to make this full screen. And I'm also going to toggle on OBS window capture. So as I said before earlier in the video, this is an optional step where you can look at the values in the bottom right here for links coordinates. So this doesn't necessarily help a ton. Like you can just kind of eyeball and see what wind bomb is going to work best, you know. But something that can be helpful is getting these coordinates, getting a recording of these wind bombs and being able to see the coordinates and then apply them to another shrine. That's something I've been doing recently where like I did a set of this for Kyorug, and then I went to the DLC shrine Kihiro Mo, which is a very similar like design. And I was able to just look at the coordinates from my Kyoru recording and then be like, oh, this wind bomb, it goes over this Y value at this X value. So I can just use that wind bomb for this shrine. And I was able to knock out that shrine in like 20-ish minutes. So that's the most handy part of having these coordinates visible. But yeah, at this point, I'm just going to let this script play out. And then, so I need to be unpaused to start because it's going to pause. It's going to press plus whenever I start the script. But I'm going to start the script and then I'm going to cut this recording and start a new recording where I look over those results, and we're going to try to find a wind bomb that matches what we need. Okay, so this is all playing in real time, by the way. I'm going to speed up the recording for the sake of time, so it's not just 20 to 30 minutes of it doing just this. But that is about how much it takes in real time. I have like 29,000 here. So this is probably going to take closer to 20 minutes for all of this to execute, but yeah. Gonna start this and then I'll see you in a bit. Okay, so now that we have our recording finished, we are going to look over it and see what options we have that will give us. I'm gonna open a new notepad here, put it off to my other monitor. I'm gonna put down any numbers. It's kind of hard to on your resolution, but down here on the bottom left, I don't know if you can see my mouse. I don't think you can with I have a VLC open right now, so I have the video file open. Change that. Thought I saw it earlier. Um, yeah, down here, bottom left, you can see the number of frames to the script that you currently are. So any numbers, any that I see that look like they could be good candidates for the wind bomb, for a good wind bomb are going to be. I'm gonna note those down on the notepad. So in VLC, we'll go left arrow, right arrow will send you forward or back 10 seconds. Holding shift and left or right will go 3 seconds. So that's
good quick way of getting around. So normally I'll go forward 10, usually 6 seconds. Okay. Most of these are going a little too. Looking for something that's a little bit shorter, a little bit weaker. Something that doesn't hit the I'm going forward 16 seconds for each of the tries. That one didn't. That one was getting there. Oh, that could be a good candidate. Let me put that one down. That one is about 5,600. That one's strong. That one hit. That one hit the alien. There's probably going to be a lot of these. Where first tends to have a lot of results that will send you pretty high. Jump forward 20 seconds. That one, okay. I don't like how most of these are like trending towards the right. That is going to give us gonna be like a thing we have to figure out. This one looks like a good candidate. 11,200. A little too strong. That one hit the. That one hit the. One of these I did look over and see that that wind bomb didn't work, so I want to try that one again. That one did. That one I like the angle of. I'm gonna note this one down anyway, but I think trying to do a ragdoll cancel here is not gonna be worth it. But we'll note it down just in case someone will look at this after I do this recording. Because my goal right now is to just get something that goes straight in. But I could end up finding that ragdoll cancel is faster. I'm expecting a lot of these later results. I'm hoping like some of the latest timings might get something that also goes straight in. Because right now I only really have two candidates. A lot of these. Oh, I think this is the one that. Okay, no, that there is one of these in here I saw where it was not 29 frames, so it missed swapping back. Oh, okay. Uh, that's fine. We only have two candidates, but I guess I mean, that's. So I'm gonna close this now. I did load up a file and make some new speed food. Excuse me. And now we have the shrine uncompleted. It felt like it'd be a little unsatisfying to go through all this trouble and like not have a shrine that not have not be able to actually finish the shrine. So here we are. So I'm gonna put this back on the right side. I'll put the pass task editor on the left again. So we're gonna look for 5,600. That was our first good result. It was this one. I'm gonna copy this. I'm just gonna make a new file, replace these empty ones, and then save this as script 0-1. Then script 0-1. And now I want to see how many frames of walking forward I can trim. So, oh, it looks like it's perfect. Yeah, that's 29. So yeah, this one is perfect amount of walking forward. All right, so what I'm gonna do now, I want to look at this frame by frame. Pretty good. This barely gets us over the wall. Yeah, this looks good. So I have a good result here. The main issue is just gone off to the right here. So I think the way I'm gonna fix that, I'm just gonna change all these stick inputs very slightly. We want to go this way, so that's a positive value. I'm gonna put 92 here. We're gonna see how that works out. Yeah, so this is pretty much the part of the process where you're just debugging the script until you get something that works. We'll see how this plays out. If this gives me a better angle, a bit better, we can go up to 90, 96. Oh yeah, I guess since you couldn't see my cursor earlier, I was trying to explain the Windbomb arc of like, you want something smooth that lands right at the monk. Interesting ragdoll cancel there. But yeah, to go over that again, while I'm standing in this similar spot, I'm getting a fast wind bomb where you go forward and then fall straight down. I was doing these motions with my mouse, but you couldn't see it. Fast forward and then falling straight down is usually kind of slow because it takes a while before he picks up speed falling. Something that gives you a gradual curve that lands right at the monk is usually best. Just depends on the circumstances. I have the script do that for me. Let's do 100. And I'm just going to go frame by frame so I can use my controller to pan the camera down. I know I'm getting close to the monk now, but I want to see exactly where I'm laying. One is a nice wind bomb because it's barely that wall. Okay, yeah, that's basically perfect. If we can open glider here, and I'm gonna hope Link is facing the correct way. If not, we're gonna lose a few frames, but how it goes. So have 100 for the stick angle, and now I want to figure out when is the latest point I can open glider. So I'm gonna reload this again. And something important to keep in mind, when you input something on your controller, it takes 5 frames before it shows up down here. So I'm going to... Oh, that's something... I need to... Anyway. I'm going to add a bunch of empty space down here at the bottom and just put like an empty left stick foot. So left stick, I'm just going to put that at the very bottom. What I'm watching is this number at the bottom here. Currently 0 out of 318. It's going to jump up to 470, 470. 470. It's going to jump up to that when I reload the script. What I'm looking for is what frame I input the X button when I'm going frame by frame. I'm gonna reload it. I'm gonna pan the camera down this time again so I can see. I have to keep in mind, where is Link gonna be in 5 frames? I love how he just barely clears that wall. This is, so I'm at frame 374. I'm gonna hold X for frame 375 and see what that looks like. I can go a few more frames. I'm gonna try. Try holding. I'll try holding at 378. I'm 1 frame late, but we'll see. 379. Okay, so if I do that, I want him to be a little further left. I'm gonna knock this back down to 98. We'll aim for frame 378 again. Okay, 377. I'm gonna hold X, hold B. I can do that a little. Try. Let's try frame 376. I went 1 frame. Yeah, 376 is looking good. I'm gonna start. We're really done here, honestly. 376, and we may not lose any frames having to turn Link around. This is something I'm actually still learning too, but I think you need about 4 frames to turn Link around, but if you're falling, that doesn't really cost time. Um, so I'm gonna do 376. I'm also gonna turn the camera down like halfway through this just so I can see. Gonna aim that straight down. And then let me try to see what frame that his feet touch the ground. It's a pretty late skip. Oh, yeah, okay, so this is the kind of thing I was talking about. So it skipped late on the elevator that time, so that messed with his ragdoll. And so that time he actually hit the wall that we're flying over. You could hear like the sound effect of him hitting. That was an early skip, so we have something. Yeah. Either this frame or I think it's gonna be frame 390. I think I can do 1 less frame here. So we're gonna have him open glider 1 frame earlier. And then on frame We'll do 395 first, and if I need to increase it one, that. I'm gonna have him press left stick and A. So left stick makes you crouch. A activates the monk. For some reason, you can do these on the same frame and have it activate the monk. But this saves about 8 frames of having to just stand there and wait for the prompt to show up. And then we're gonna use R to turn Link around. I think it's 4 frames minimum. You have to hold it for him to turn. So if you're falling for at least this amount of time, you can. I think I'm falling at least 4 frames here, so we should be fine. Let's play it and see if it works. That's wait. Did I see the wrong frame? I guess I did. Oh, because I need to deduct 5. That's right. So he landed on frame 396, but I need to deduct 5 frames because that's how long it takes for that input to happen. I'm gonna do that. Play this again. We should be pretty close to our final result here. Assuming he turns around as I expect him to. Alright, maybe. Let me see. I need to see that frame by frame, see what happened here. I may have to do it 1 frame later. Or maybe a little bit earlier. It looked like he was still in the animation of holding his weapon. Let's do 1 frame later. I feel like maybe I need to deduct frames instead of adding, but we'll try deducting first and see how that works. If I don't see a difference this time, I think what I'll do is I'll take out the R inputs. I usually do save those for last. Yeah, so let's just save these for last. And let's see. Let's just see if he'll actually crouch on the frame that I want him to when he lands. To put 1 more frame. If he doesn't crouch at all, you know that it's too early. Okay, that's what we're looking for. So now I'm gonna put the ARP inputs back in. And if the game does not skip late this time, we should have it. Okay. What was different this time? Maybe I can start holding R 1 frames. There is some weirdness with like what frame you start holding R. Like I've gotten in different results. I'll go by frame and see what this looks like when the prompt actually shows up. That was a late skip, so I think this is not gonna work. Oh, maybe fine. What I can do, try it this way. We're gonna hold R and then cancel it with B. Yeah, this is just kind of the part where it's like I have done some of this testing with like turning him around with weapon throw, but not enough to like know for sure what the answer is. This should be working. I just have to let me look at it frame by frame. Yeah, this is unfortunately the part where like save states would obviously be helpful as a whole, but like having to figure out this very end part by just playing the first part over and over is pretty time consuming. Okay, so the prompt is not showing up immediately. Let me try aiming the camera down more. Yeah, let's just have it completely. This probably isn't enough frames to completely aim it downward, but let's try that. Because usually when the prompt doesn't show up right away, it's a camera. Showing up late. Let's turn it a bit to the left. See how that does. It could just also be that I'm kind of far from the monk. This is a pretty late. Yeah, this is interesting. I don't think I've landed in a position before where it's shown up late like this when crouching. So the answer may be I just have to spin one more frame and just have him close glider, open and close glider one frame later. But I'm gonna try this more time. The slightly less severe camera angle. It'll show up. Yeah, this is strange. Normally it would just show up on crouching. But yeah. So let's go back. Same camera straight down. We're gonna get rid of this. Gonna open the glider one frame later, which means probably gonna have to input this one frame later, but I want to see before I change. It could be because we're gonna land slightly higher. Maybe he's going to also crouch on the same frame. This is the late skip short. Okay, yeah, that's good. He crouched on the same frame, so we should just be able to do this without losing any time. Put R. And hopefully being closer is going to make it so the monk prompt appears immediately. Okay, no, it's worse this time. Okay. Giving me something interesting to work with now that I'm trying to show off a live example. Uh so when this happened recently, what I did was just turn the camera angle a different direction. Let's try that. Okay. Yep, that was product of the late skip again. The wall. All right. Yep, there we go. All right. Perfect. So, what was happening there is like he is too close to the wall, so the prompt is not appearing, but just making him turn left or right. I think left here because he looked like he was a little more to the right. But yeah, I'm gonna clean up this file now so I don't have the reloads anymore. Assuming this works consistently, I'm gonna I'm gonna get rid of all of these reload and padding frames. We're gonna delete that. Then I actually did the perfect amount. So you want the frame to skip on frame 26. We're gonna clean up this because I don't need to see the counter at the bottom anymore. And we should have here a 181 frame Akh Vaquot. I'm gonna hit the home button a little bit after loading screen goes away. I'm gonna frame by frame forward. And in particular, if you finish the shrine, you can see like the icon in the bottom left, it'll start to blur like it just did. So if you see that, it's 1, 2, 3 frames. You'll be in. So now I'm going to run the script while this is still paused. Then when I hit the home button, I'm gonna let it play. And there we go. That's Akh Vaquot. So for recording, all I do, I set volume to 100. I make this full screen with F11, and we can just play through it one more time. I make sure to full screen it before I pause it, because you'll notice if I shrink it, it's gonna have like a weird aspect ratio. So make sure you have it full screen before you pause it. The home button, gonna advance till I'm on the first frame I can see. TAS editor. Use my hotkey to start the script. The home button. And there we go. 181 frames. So yeah, thank you for watching this all the way through if you did. I know that TASing in this game is super primitive still, and I'm currently the only one who is TASing, but I think this script especially makes it nice for this sort of testing. And I thought I would at least make the resource in case anyone is interested in wanting to try out TASing or try out this Windbomb script editor that I have. On that note, shout outs to Requiem of Dreams who made the initial file for me. I did a lot of work on it to add the new options, but he really gave me the groundwork to have something working that will generate these files. Um, but yeah, I know some of my explanations were a bit wordy, especially in regards to the tests to the Windbomb generator. So if you have any questions, just leave it down in the comments. I'll get back to you. And yeah, thank you for watching.